Karen slapped my son in a luxury boutique because she thought he looked too poor to wear a suit. Her son kicked him to the ground while she laughed. I don't beg, I don't fold, and I don't wait for karma. I deliver it. I shattered Chad's arrogance across the tile floor. And when Karen lunged at me, I pinned her face to the glass she worshipped. You think justice takes years? Sometimes. It takes 30 seconds. But if you think that's where it ends, wait till you see what happened at my front gate. He stood by the hallway mirror, straightening his collar for the 10th time. I watched him from the kitchen. My son, 17, tall for his age, but always shrinking into himself like he owed the world an apology just for existing. His tie was crooked. His hands trembled, not from cold, but from the weight of being seen. Prom was coming up. His first real event. No one had asked him to go, not officially, but he'd received a flyer in his locker and circled the date. That was enough for me. I saw it taped above his desk, next to his sketches, his comic books, his quiet world where no one laughed at him for stuttering or called him the invisible kid. He deserved to be visible, even if just for one night. So I made a decision. We'd get him a suit, not a cheap rental, not some discount rack disaster that would only remind him he wasn't like the others. No, this would be the suit that changed something in him. The kind of suit that, when he looked in the mirror, he wouldn't see a scared boy. He'd see the man he was becoming. He hesitated when I told him. "Those stores aren't for people like us," he muttered. I looked him in the eye. "No one gets to decide where you belong but you." He nodded, slowly. But I saw the fear behind his smile. That kind of fear doesn't come from fabric or prices. It comes from years of being told, directly or indirectly, that you're not enough. That morning, we drove to Maison Céliane, the boutique everyone talked about like it was a church for the rich. He wore his best shoes. I wore my quiet resolve. What we didn't know was that behind the glass doors, someone else had already decided we didn't belong. And she was waiting. The moment we stepped into Maison Céliane, everything changed. The air shifted, cooler, sharper. Chandeliers glimmered above marble floors. Tailored suits gleamed behind glass, silent monuments of status. A classical piano score floated from hidden speakers, as if the entire store had been designed to remind people like us that we didn't belong. My son hesitated just inside the door, clutching the fabric swatch I'd handed him that morning. He stared at the mannequins like they might ask him to leave. I placed a firm hand on his shoulder. "You walk like you own the place," I said. He gave a nervous laugh. "I don't even walk like I own my own bedroom." I smiled, but my eyes were already scanning. No salespeople in sight. Just a tall woman near the center of the store, gesturing dramatically toward a row of Italian jackets. Her voice, nasal and commanding, cut through the music like a saw. Karen. I didn't know her name yet, but I knew the type. Gold bangles, bleached hair, sunglasses on indoors. And beside her, a boy around my son's age. Square jaw, cocky grin, slouched posture that screamed privilege. Chad. She turned as we passed. Her eyes swept over me, then landed on my son, and narrowed like a blade. She didn't smile. She didn't blink. Then she stepped forward. "You!" she snapped, pointing at my son as if summoning a butler. "Be a dear, and get that navy blazer off the rack for us, size 42, and make it quick." My son froze. I stepped between them. "He's not staff," I said, voice low but sharp. "He's a customer." Karen scoffed. "Oh, please, spare me the speech. You people love pretending you belong in places like this. Next thing I know, you'll be offering fashion advice." My hands clenched. "Take a step back, ma'am." She tilted her head. "Did you just threaten me?" "I told you to move," I said, eyes locked on hers. "That wasn't a request." Chad laughed behind her. "Looks like someone forgot who pays the bills around here." Karen's smile returned, tight, cruel. She turned back to my son, ignoring me completely. "Take that jacket and hold it against your chest," she ordered. "Let's see how ridiculous it looks on someone like you." He didn't move. I saw the flush creep up his neck, the shame curling his shoulders. I stepped closer, voice steady as steel. "Touch him again, and I'll break your wrist." Karen blinked, but only for a second. Then she stepped even closer, invading his space, her voice dropping to a hiss. "You should teach your son not to stare at people who are better than him." And before I could react, before I could even move, she slapped him. Hard, loud, final. The sound cracked through the boutique like a gunshot. My son stumbled back, one hand on his cheek, eyes wide with disbelief. I heard a phone camera click nearby. A customer had frozen mid-step, hand over her mouth. I took one step forward, and the last sliver of Karen's smirk shattered like glass. If you think that slap just signed her downfall, type 9 in the comments. And keep watching. The real reckoning hasn't even started yet. The slap hung in the air, echoing off marble and mirrors. My son stood still, hand pressed against his cheek, lips parted, as if trying to swallow what had just happened. A faint red mark bloomed across his skin, glowing under the boutique's cold white lights. Karen didn't flinch. If anything, she looked proud. She turned to Chad. "That's how you handle insolence," she said, loud enough for half the store to hear. "These people think respect is optional." Chad snorted. "Want me to finish the lesson?" My instincts kicked in. I stepped forward, planting myself between them and my son. My voice dropped an octave. "You'll take one more step, and I swear to God—" "Relax, Daddy dearest," Chad interrupted, flashing that smug, empty grin. "No one's scared of a guy in a clearance rack polo." Karen laughed. "Oh, let them act tough. It's cute." But her eyes were already sharp again, scanning me, dissecting, calculating. She took another step toward my son, like she hadn't just assaulted him, like she still controlled the room. And that's when Chad moved. He lunged, fast, boots swinging out, aimed straight at my son's legs. Crack! A sickening thud as Chad's heels smashed into my son's knee. He cried out, buckled, and collapsed to the floor. The sound he made will haunt me for the rest of my life, not because of the pain, but because of the shame, the helplessness, the betrayal of being hurt, again, by people who believed they had the right. Karen didn't even blink. "Maybe now he'll learn his place," she said coldly. That was it. That was the line. I stepped past my son, slow, deliberate, and locked eyes with Chad. He smirked, still breathing hard from his little victory. "Want to swing again, tough guy?" I asked. "Why? You gonna cry too?" Chad taunted. I didn't answer. I moved. One step, one motion. I grabbed his wrist, twisted, yanked, and spun. He hit the floor face first, the same marble tiles he'd strutted across like a king. A gasp rippled through the boutique. Karen screamed, "You animal! You broke my son's—" I turned to her, fire in my chest. "Your son assaulted mine. You slapped a child. You crossed every damn line." She rushed at me, and I was ready. Karen charged at me like a bull in heels, her gold bangles clinking, teeth bared, mascara already running from sheer rage. She didn't hesitate. No fear, no remorse, just pure, deranged entitlement. "You lay one finger on my son, and I'll have your house, your job, your—" I stepped into her swing, caught her wrist midair, and twisted it down and back. Her shriek pierced the boutique like a siren. "Let go!" she screeched, flailing like a wild animal. "This is assault! I'll sue you! I'll ruin you!" "Ma'am," I said through clenched teeth, "you already ruined yourself the moment you touched my son." She swung with her free hand, sloppy, furious. I caught that too, and just like that, I turned her around, locked both her arms, and pressed her palms flat against the glass display case behind us. Her designer purse dropped to the floor. A pair of overpriced sunglasses clattered next to it. Let the hell go of me, she howled, trying to stomp her heels into my foot. But I didn't budge. I leaned close, just enough so she could hear the weight behind every word. You slapped a child, encouraged your son to assault him, and now you're attacking me. In public, in front of witnesses, with security cameras watching. Karen's breath was ragged. Her voice cracked. Do you have any idea who I am? Yes, I growled. You're a predator in pearls. A hush fell over the boutique. Someone had stopped the music. A sales associate stood frozen near the dressing rooms, her hand covering her mouth. A couple near the entrance was filming everything, phones raised, mouths hanging open. I didn't care. Karen struggled once more, but I kept her pinned, not hurting her, just holding her still. And maybe for the first time in her life she couldn't buy, threaten, or scream her way out of something. My son sat on the floor nearby, clutching his knee. His lip was trembling, but his eyes, they were wide, locked on me. Not with fear, with trust. Finally, I released Karen. She stumbled forward, caught herself on the edge of the counter, and spun around with fire in her eyes. But even she could feel the shift in the room. No one was on her side. Chad was still crumpled on the floor, moaning softly. Karen opened her mouth to unleash more venom, and then saw the store manager. He had stepped out from the back room. He'd seen everything. The store manager stepped forward like a judge entering a courtroom. He was tall, sharp in a navy three-piece suit, and stone-faced, the kind of man who didn't blink unless it was worth blinking for. He didn't look at me, didn't look at Karen. His eyes scanned the boutique and landed on the trembling boy on the floor, my son, still cradling his knee, and then Chad, still wheezing where I'd dropped him. "Someone tell me what happened," he said, voice low but heavy. Before I could speak, Karen exploded. "This man attacked my son," she barked, pointing at me with trembling fury. "He laid hands on me. My child is injured. I've been assaulted. He pinned you," the woman filming near the door called out. "After you slapped a minor." Karen turned, venom in her voice. "Who even are you?" "Someone who watched you dig your own grave," the woman replied flatly. The manager raised a hand. "Enough." He turned to the sales associate near the register. "Pull up the security footage. Now." Karen flinched. "There's no need for that." "There is," he said firmly. Minutes passed in slow silence. The boutique became a courtroom, and the flat screen on the wall became the witness. Footage rolled. There it was. Karen marching up to my son like she owned the world. The slap. Chad's kick. My son crumpling. My approach. Calm, restrained. The takedown. The restraint. Measured. Controlled. And then Karen, screaming, lunging, and failing. The footage ended. The silence was absolute. The manager turned to Karen. "You physically assaulted a minor. You encouraged your son to use force. Then you attacked a customer in front of witnesses, and now you're lying about it." Karen opened her mouth, but no sound came out. "You are hereby banned from this store and all affiliated locations, permanently." Karen gasped. "You can't do that. I'm a legacy client. My HOA funded your holiday gala." "Your HOA doesn't fund my integrity," he said coolly. Karen's face turned red. Her voice cracked. "This isn't over." "It is," I said, stepping forward. "It ended the second you put your hand on my son." Karen looked around, but no one met her eyes. No allies. No defenders. Just phones. Cold stares. Silent judgment. Her image had shattered, and for the first time, I think she felt it. She turned, scooped up her purse and her pride, and stumbled toward the door. Chad limped behind her. The doors hissed shut behind them. But outside that glass, the real reckoning was just beginning. By the time I got my son home that night, the video had already hit 400,000 views. It wasn't posted by me. It didn't need to be. That woman near the boutique door, the one Karen tried to belittle, had uploaded the clip with a simple title: Entitled woman slaps kid, screams when it backfires. Underneath, hashtag Karen and Chad. Justice in a costume shop, hat Mason meltdown. By midnight, it passed 1 million. It wasn't just the slap. It wasn't just the kick. It was the sound of Karen shrieking, the sight of her being pinned face down on a boutique counter, and the quiet voice of a father saying, "You crossed every damn line." The internet loved it, but not in a wholesome way. No, this was rage, raw and focused. Someone dug up her name, Karen Glennon, HOA president of East Haven Hills. Someone else posted a clip from 6 months ago, her yelling at a neighbor's kid for riding a scooter too loudly. Then came screenshots of her HOA newsletter, where she fined residents for things like wind chimes out of tune and chairs on porches after 6 p.m. People were furious. People were laughing. And people wanted more. By morning, local news had picked it up. By afternoon, I had reporters calling my office, asking for statements. I didn't answer. I sat with my son, his knee bandaged, as he read through thousands of comments online. Finally, someone put a Karen in her place. Give that dad a medal. This is the most satisfying takedown of the year. He looked at me, unsure. Am I the joke? I shook my head. No, son, you're the reason it stopped. Meanwhile, in East Haven Hills, chaos erupted. Karen tried to go on camera, a Facebook Live apology. It backfired. She blamed the current culture of bullying, claimed she was attacked by a stranger with an attitude, and that her son was defending his mother. The comments section roasted her alive. Lady, we saw the footage. Your son's a thug. You're worse. Delete your HOA. That night, the HOA board called an emergency vote. 8 members. 2 abstained. 5 voted yes. Karen Glennon was removed as president, effective immediately. Her nameplate came off the community office door the next morning. Her neighbors left flowers on the mailbox of the boy she slapped. The press called it the boutique reckoning. But I didn't care about headlines. All I saw was my son, sitting straighter, smiling a little more. Not because the world changed, because he knew he wasn't alone anymore. It was 3 days after the video broke the 3 million mark. I thought it was over. Karen had been stripped of her title, her face plastered across the internet like a warning label. Chad had been expelled from his private prep school, a formal letter citing violations of the Student Conduct Code, delivered straight to their HOA clubhouse, where it sat unopened on the reception counter like a decapitated crown. But monsters don't die quietly. At 9:17 p.m., the doorbell rang. Then again. Then fists, pounding, beating, shaking the front gate like it owed her something. I stepped outside. My son was upstairs, headphones on. He didn't need to see this. Through the security cam, I saw her. Karen, red-faced, clutching a thick folder, barefoot and seething. "Open this damn gate!" she screamed. "You think this is over? You think you can humiliate me and just walk away?" I didn't speak. I walked slowly down the porch, flicked on the floodlight. Karen flinched as it blasted across the yard, but she didn't stop. "You attacked me. You attacked my son. You dragged my name through the mud and ruined my life." "You ruined your life," I said, voice like stone. "All I did was stop you." She slammed the folder against the gate. "This is a lawsuit. For assault, defamation, and emotional distress. You'll be in court before the week's out." I stared her down. "You came to my house, in the dark, screaming like a lunatic. And you're talking about emotional distress?" She sneered. "Your kind always plays the victim." Those words cut deep. I took one step forward, and that's when I heard a voice behind me. "I'm recording, just so you know." I turned. Mrs. Albright, our neighbor across the street, stood on her lawn, phone raised. So did Mr. Patel, and the Petersons, and 3 teenagers I barely recognized, all recording, all silent, all watching. Karen spun around, eyes wild. "What are you staring at? This is private business." "No," Mrs. Albright replied, calm and firm. "This is a community problem. And we've stayed quiet for too long. Karen backed away from the gate. You're all turning against me? You turned against us years ago, Mr. Patel said. We're just finally looking back. Karen staggered, breath ragged. I'm calling the cops. Please do, I said. I'd love to let them see the footage. And your history. She froze. Her phone slipped from her hand. Headlights appeared at the end of the street. A patrol car, slow and steady, turning onto our block. Someone had already called. Karen looked around, desperate. No one moved. No one spoke. Only phones in hands and silent judgment. The patrol car rolled to a stop. And Karen finally broke. She dropped the folder, cursed under her breath, and ran, barefoot down the street, mascara streaking, the queen dethroned and exiled by her own kingdom. I stood still, hands at my sides. I didn't chase her. I didn't need to, because this time, justice came to the front gate on its own. The patrol car stopped in front of my house, and 2 officers stepped out, calm, focused, scanning the scene. One glanced at me. Caller said there was a disturbance. Name's Donovan? I nodded. That's me. The other officer looked down the street, where Karen had vanished around the corner, barefoot and half mad. Where's the suspect now? Running, I said flatly. Like cowards do when the crowd doesn't kneel anymore. Mrs. Albright approached, phone still recording. We've got footage. Gate cam, live streams, audio. She showed up screaming, threatening lawsuits, slamming papers. Called us, you people. The officer took her phone, reviewed a few seconds, and winced. Yeah, that's enough for disorderly conduct, maybe criminal harassment. And trespassing, I added. We have it posted. She crossed the line. The officer nodded. We'll issue a warrant. It won't take long. He didn't ask for more, because the story had already outrun the paperwork. By noon the next day, a new video, the gate confrontation, had gone viral. Not just on TikTok this time. Mainstream news picked it up. Headlines read like satire. Former HOA president goes berserk in suburbia. Karen strikes again. This time, the gate fights back. Justice at the fence line. A local station camped outside her home, but she didn't answer the door. Her car was gone. The blinds drawn. Chad was nowhere in sight. I got an email from an HOA board member that evening. We voted to revoke her community privileges permanently. She no longer has access to meetings, amenities, or representation. I didn't reply. Because the truth was, I didn't need them to punish her. She did that herself. The next day, she was served. 2 sheriff's deputies walked up her immaculate porch, knocked once, and when she opened the door, they didn't say a word, just handed her the envelope. She tried to slam the door, but a neighbor across the street caught it all on camera. Again. By then, the footage had gone global. Spanish subtitles, French narration, Thai reaction videos with animated emojis. Karen Glennon had become a global warning sign. But I didn't celebrate. I didn't dance. I took my son out for dinner. He wore his vest, walked straighter, smiled deeper. And across the parking lot, someone recognized him. Hey! A stranger called out. You're the kid from the boutique video, right? My son froze. Then slowly he nodded. The stranger smiled. Respect. He smiled back. Not shy. Not ashamed. Proud. Because sometimes the fall of a tyrant isn't loud. It's the silence that follows, when no one misses them. The night of prom came quietly. No fanfare, no balloons. Just a clear sky, a slow breeze, and my son standing at the top of the stairs, wearing the same vest he once held like it might burn him. But it didn't. Now, it fit. Not just his body, his posture, his presence. He adjusted his cufflinks, hands steady this time, and looked at me. Do I look okay? I didn't answer right away. I was too busy trying to memorize the moment. You look like someone who didn't just survive, I said. You look like someone who won. He smiled, small, but real. Then turned to the mirror, and didn't look away. For the first time in years, he didn't shrink, didn't flinch. He stood there, shoulders back, chin up, staring at the reflection of the boy who was told he didn't belong, and the man he was becoming anyway. Outside, a car honked. His date had arrived. He walked past me with calm, confident steps. At the door, he paused. "Would it have been easier," he asked, "to just walk away?" I took a breath. "Maybe," I said. "But then she would have kept going, and you'd still think you had to stay silent to stay safe." He nodded, slowly, then opened the door and stepped out into the night. I stood alone in the hallway, surrounded by quiet. Karen's name didn't come up again. Not in our home, not in the neighborhood. She became what all tyrants become when the lights go out. A cautionary tale. And my son? He didn't just walk into prom that night. He walked into the rest of his life knowing this. You don't win by shouting louder. You win by standing, by staying, by saying, enough. And when you do, the whole damn world learns to listen. What started as a shopping trip for a prom vest turned into something far greater and far uglier than I could have ever imagined. My son didn't ask to be tested that day. He didn't ask to be mocked, slapped, or humiliated in public. All he wanted was to belong, to feel seen, to step into a world that had spent most of his life pushing him out. But life doesn't wait until you're ready. And villains don't always wear masks. Sometimes they wear designer sunglasses and HOA badges. Sometimes they smile as they hurt you. Karen thought she was untouchable, that money, reputation, and noise could drown out the truth. But what she forgot, what people like her always forget, is that cameras roll, people watch, and the world, when united, can be louder than any Karen ever could be. My son walked into that boutique believing he wasn't enough. He walked out knowing exactly who he was. And so did she. The truth is, we all face moments like this. Moments where we're tested, humiliated, underestimated. And in those moments, we have two choices. We can shrink, or we can stand. This story isn't just about a slap in a store. It's about the power of boundaries, the quiet strength of parenting, the rage we feel when injustice happens in plain sight, and the peace we find when it's finally put to rest. But more than that, it's about the world we're building. One where bullies don't get the last word, and kindness doesn't mean weakness. So here's the lesson I'll leave you with. Raise your kids to walk tall, but teach them that dignity doesn't come from expensive clothes. It comes from knowing when to fight, when to forgive, and when to stand your ground without saying a word. And if you ever find yourself surrounded by people who think you're less just because you're quiet, gentle, or different, remember this. They only laugh when they think no one's watching. Start watching back. If you think respect is earned by character, not by cash, type justice in the comments. If you've ever seen someone like Karen abuse power, share your story below. You're not alone. If you believe in standing up, even when it's hard, if you've ever had to protect someone you love, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel for more stories like this, and don't forget to turn on the notification bell so you never miss a moment that matters. Because next time, you might be the one standing between injustice and the kid too scared to speak. And when that day comes, I hope you stand.